Hello and welcome to the news at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland tonight. Could the UK government's plans on immigration impact you and your family? The UK government says their plans will bring immigration back into control, while the Scottish government says the proposals will hit care homes, universities and the Scottish economy. We hear concerns from one care home provider in South Lanarkshire.
We've got 66 care staff currently on our books. 47% of them are on skilled worker visas. I think we have between 10 and 12 different nationalities, which very much reflects modern Scotland. But the skilled worker visa in particular is something that we registered for with the Home Office about 4 years ago. And frankly, I don't think we would have survived as a business if we hadn't done that.
We'll get reaction from our political editor, and we'll also get your views on how these plans could affect you, your family or business. Also tonight, the life-changing shoes designed in Edinburgh that help people with conditions like MS stay steady on their feet. We will have all the sport with Lewis. Lewis, what have you got for us tonight?
Well, Amy, it looks like the wheels are in motion for Derek McInnes to become the new Hearts boss, and we hear from a former Tynecastle captain who believes it would be a good appointment.
And we visit one of Scotland's smallest schools, home to just 2 pupils. Hello, I'm Amy Irons and welcome to the news at 7. The Scottish Government says the health and care sector will suffer because of plans by UK ministers to tighten immigration rules. Keir Starmer's proposing to cut the recruitment of overseas care workers as part of his strategy to take back Britain's borders. As he puts it, once here, migrants would have to wait 10 years before being able to apply for British citizenship, double the current time. We'll get more on this from our political editor in just a moment. But first, Maurice Logie from Bluebird Care in South Lanarkshire gave us his thoughts to our reporter Martin Graham.
Tell us what Bluebird does and tell us what your staff do in the community, please.
Sure. So what Bluebird does is basically look after people in their own homes. That's our mantra. We think that for mainly elderly customers that we have, they are safest at home and we want to keep them there safely for as long as possible. So we're funded by the local council. We also have private customers as well. It's a mixed funding model, but our biggest customer currently is South Lanarkshire Council.
How many of your staff at the moment are from other countries other than the UK?
So I just checked this morning, we've got 66 care staff currently on our books. 47% of them are on skilled worker visas. I think we have between 10 and 12 different nationalities, which very much reflects modern Scotland. But the skilled worker visa in particular is something that we registered for with the Home Office about 4 years ago. And frankly, I don't think we would have survived as a business if we hadn't done that.
What are some of the challenges of recruiting staff for this sector?
So again, the reason we went down the skilled worker route is because, like everybody in our situation, we're a small family business, but I think we're not untypical. We do advertise in a lot of the local job centres, job boards, where everybody else is advertising. And we frankly struggle to get responses. People generally don't want to come and work in the care sector for whatever reason. My message to Keir Starmer would be to reconsider, in the sense that this does seem to be so all-encompassing that I believe the care sector is a special case, in the sense that what we bring to the table is very special, very significant. Social care helps the NHS and frees up the NHS. So I think that this particular move may be appropriate in other sectors, but I do not think it helps or rectifies what we're dealing with in social care.
Well, we can now chat to our political editor, Glenn Campbell, who's with us. Glenn, can you just run us through some of the headlines, I suppose, some of the detail as to what the Prime Minister laid out today?
Well, he's promising to reduce migration over a period of time, certainly by the end of this Parliament, but it's worth pointing out that successive Prime Ministers have made similar promises and have not been able to fulfil them. Keir Starmer obviously hopes that he can be more successful in delivering on that promise, and in order to do that, he's making a number of changes, or proposing a number of changes. He wants those who seek to come and live and work in the UK to be tested for their English language skills, and for those tests to be extended to their dependents. He's also talking about specifically ending the special visa for social care workers, which you've been discussing with someone from a social care business. And he's suggesting that there should be other efforts to tighten up the system and try and get greater control over those who can come and live and work in the UK. Let's be clear though, we're not talking here about those who, often at great danger to themselves, cross the English Channel to seek asylum in the UK. We're not talking about people who try to come and live here illegally. This is an effort to tighten up the system for legal immigration into the UK.
As you said, we got the reaction from Modest Logie from Bluebird Care. What's the reaction been, not just from those perhaps in some of the industries that are most likely to be affected, but what's the political reaction been as well?
Well, it's worth saying that Scotland is an ageing population. It is, or would be, a shrinking population as well, were it not for people from elsewhere in the UK and across the world choosing to come and live and work here. Now, that's not to say there aren't concerns about immigration among people in Scotland. There are, but it has tended not to be the sort of hot button issue that it can be in England, for instance. And I think that's partly because in Scotland we haven't had the mass immigration that some communities in England have had. There's tended here at Holyrood to be a political consensus that immigration is good for our economy and good for our society. I do wonder, though, if that consensus might come under serious pressure, given that some political parties are feeling electoral pressure from Reform UK, which wants to dramatically reduce levels of net migration. That's the numbers of people coming into the country, less the number of people choosing to leave. And we've had one indication this evening from the Scottish Conservatives saying that they support the idea of getting rid of the social care visa because levels of immigration, they believe, need to come down. And they, along with Scottish Labour, think that the Scottish Government should be doing more to make social care a more attractive place to work. The Scottish Government, as you mentioned, thinks these changes would be damaging. It's trying to argue for a Scottish visa system, something that I think is likely to be rejected by the UK Home Office, although it has allowed in the past some specific Scottish flexibility on visas for overseas graduates.
Glenn Campbell, our political editor at Holyrood for us tonight. Thanks very much. So what's your opinion then on these immigration proposals? Do you work in the care sector perhaps? Maybe you're concerned about the impact that these new plans might have on your business. We would love to hear from you. As always, our email address is news7@bbc.co.uk. Details on your screen there. Let's take a look then at just some of the comments that have been sent in to BBC Scotland around this discussion. And John says, my brother-in-law in England has 2 carers 4 times a day due to having end-of-life care. They are absolutely brilliant. 3 out of 4 of them are young males and they come from countries such as Sri Lanka, the Philippines, etc. Where would my brother-in-law be without them? I hate to think. Someone who didn't want their name broadcast said, pay better wages for care jobs and you'll get the staff. Jane from Blainfield said, I'm really concerned about Keir Starmer's stance on immigration. The care sector and the NHS will be impacted. My father-in-law has carers coming in 3 times a day, all men. Of the 3 who are his regular carers, one's from Ghana, one from Nigeria and one from Pakistan. All are educated, one being a banker. Only jobs available are carers' jobs. Well, thanks for getting in touch with us on the programme and thanks for joining us tonight. We have plenty more still to come for you, including Tudor Primary is one of Scotland's smallest schools. We're off to the tiny Highland Primary to meet its 2 pupils.
Well, we've got the warmest day of the year so far, 25.4 Celsius near Prestwick. Are we going to see temperatures get even higher? Find out at the end of the programme. Now,
people with certain kinds of older electricity meters are being reminded to check if they need replaced. The radio teleswitching service will start to be turned off from the 30th of June, 50 days from today. But could this affect you? Well, a little earlier I spoke to Conor Forbes from Advice Direct Scotland to learn exactly what an RTS meter actually is.
An RTS meter is also known as a radio teleswitch meter, and these are meters which are reliant upon long-wave radio signals in order to change their tariffs. So that might be people that have electric storage heaters or time-of-use tariffs for their electricity meter.
So do we know how many people are likely to still have one of these kinds of meters? Because am I right in saying this is more likely to affect people in Scotland than across the rest of the UK? People in Scotland are much more likely to have one of these?
That's correct, yes. So the ratio between Scotland and the rest of the UK means that a lot more people in Scotland do have these, and that's largely due to the geographic makeup of Scotland. So there's a lot of people in the Highlands and Islands and rural areas that will have these types of meters.
So what exactly are you finding? Because people obviously should be getting contacted by their energy supplier, is that correct, about these meters before the deadline, which is in, what, 50 days, is that right?
Yes, just we're under 50 days now, so it's the 30th of June when the deadline is. Yes, you're absolutely right. Suppliers should have been reaching out proactively to their customers and informed them, if you're part of if you have one of those meters, then you will need to be switched. But what we're finding more and more is customers contacting ourselves and saying that they've had no word from their supplier and they're confused and worried about the impending deadline.
Yeah, because what is going to happen after that point? What if somebody still has one of these meters after the end of June?
Well, it's a great question, and we don't have a 100% accurate answer of what that will be. What we do know from the suppliers and from the regulator is that there might be different reactions really to different meters. One of the things that might happen is that the individual's heating and hot water might not work. Another possibility is that you could be billed the wrong amount. So we don't really know for each case what exactly will happen once the switch off goes.
Is there likely to be a cost if you're an individual with one of these meters? Are you going to have to pay to change it?
Well, in certain cases, what we're finding now is that customers are contacting us because their supplier has made an appointment and went out to the property. So for most people, this will just be a simple switch to a smart meter. However, we're getting customers contacting us and saying that there needs to be some type of maybe infrastructural work to the house. They maybe need to move a boiler or something like that. And in certain cases, suppliers have been telling customers that they may need to pay to have these measures changed.
Which, of course, could be an unexpected cost if you're having to move things in your house that you weren't expecting to have to pay for, get work done, or join it in, or that type of thing.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
If somebody isn't quite sure if they have one of these meters, what should they do? Should they be reaching out, whether it's to yourselves or to their energy company? What would your advice be?
Yes, so unfortunately we're at a stage where we shouldn't really need to be telling consumers to do this, but we are asking consumers to reach out to their energy supplier and ask if they're on a meter, if there's any confusion whatsoever. We're hearing more and more though that customers are struggling to get through to their supplier, so we'd encourage those customers to contact ourselves and we can put them immediately in touch with the supplier and help provide some clarity really.
Yeah, just give that support that a lot of people, I'm sure, still need, obviously, before that deadline. Conor Forbes, thanks very much for joining us in the studio. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get a roundup of the stories making the BBC News app in Scotland today then, shall we? And a 78-year-old man has been charged with the death of a woman in Glasgow on Saturday. Margaret McGowan, who was 71, died after being found seriously injured at a house in Nitshill. The Scottish Government is to step up its scrutiny over NHS Grampian's finances and leadership. The Health Board recently got a loan of more than £67 million to tackle an overspend. Aberdeenshire Council is getting a new leader. Stuart Adams takes charge of the ruling Conservative group after Gillian Owen announced she wasn't going to stand again. Well, for more information on all of these stories, you can scan the QR code on your screen now and it will take you straight to the BBC Scotland News app, where there is plenty more for you there, including the 21-year-old woman who's hoping to inspire more women to take up fishing. That's after she was named Trainee Fisherman of the Year. Now, many people who have conditions like MS or cerebral palsy can suffer from something called foot drop, which makes them more likely to fall over. They struggle to keep their toes lifted, making walking difficult and tiring. But now researchers at Queen Margaret University in Edinburgh have invented a shoe which they hope will tackle the problem by providing the right kind of support to the foot, in the hope of then stopping users from falling over. Well, Joanne Macaulay has been hearing exactly how they work.
Frequent falls are something that former Army nurse Jeanette Russell is used to. She has multiple sclerosis and foot drop as a result and struggles to walk unaided. But she's been trying out the new boot designed by researchers from Queen Margaret University, and here's the difference.
This is absolutely awesome. Oh, this new shoe has been completely life-changing. I don't have to wear any devices inside. I just put the boots on. I can drive, I can do the gym, I can do hill walking, I can walk over terrain that is really rough. I haven't had any falls since I've been wearing the shoes. So it's been completely life-changing.
When you wear these, do you have to do any adjustments to them when you're driving or other things?
None at all, I just jump.
The shoes have Velcro adjustable straps to fit each user and support the ankle. The team says it's a simple but effective concept.
You can adjust the elastic depending on your disability with regards to if you have a weaker muscle or you have a totally paralyzed muscle. You can actually activate the elastic to compensate for those things. You can also tighten the elastic more on one side than the other side. If you have a foot sometimes inverts, also people tend to trip over, yeah? So it will actually put your foot in a much better position.
Foot drop affects people with a variety of conditions such as MS, cerebral palsy and strokes. It's a worldwide problem which the team hope to help with.
We are particularly interested in developing simple design like sandals, but this could be integrated for people in hot countries or people living in low-income countries where people can't afford expensive boots, and the simple sandals might be more accessible and also culturally more normal to wear.
The researchers say one advantage is that the shoes look like an everyday piece of clothing.
We felt we needed another option for people that was more comfortable to wear, easier to put on, that is less conspicuous because it looks the same on either foot, and generally the people are more likely to keep using.
Ooh. Jeanette has even got back into hill walking with the help of her new boots, and she now has Ben Nevis in her sights. Joanne Macaulay reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
Yeah, what a difference they've made. Well, still to come, we will have the weather with Judith and we will visit Scotland's smallest school. But first, it's sport with our very own teacher's pet. Lewis, what's happening tonight?
Thanks very much for that, Amy. Good evening, everyone. Well, is this man, Derek McInnes, a step closer to becoming the new manager of Hearts? That's because the Tynecastle Club has now made an official approach to Kilmarnock, where McInnes has been boss for the last 3 years. He guided them to Premiership safety on Saturday with this win against Dundee at Rugby Park. But now it looks like the wheels are in motion for the ex-Aberdeen manager to join another club who believe they should be in the third force in Scottish football. And earlier, I spoke to a former Hearts captain who says McInnes would be a good appointment.
Yeah, definitely. Derek's well known in Scottish football. He's nearly been manager for 20 years now, and I think in the past he's been linked to the Hearts job many a time. But if it is to be, you know, he's a man who will straight away gain the respect in the dressing room, and again, just because he's been there and done it, and everyone knows who he is.
In the media, he's often referred to as a solid, dependable, safe pair of hands type manager. Is that how you think players will view him as well? Some players really respect him, perhaps?
Yeah, every time you see him, he always comes well across in his interviews, even when he's doing media. He's probably mellowed since his younger days as a manager, and he really that figure he gives out to the fans and to the media is really good. But I'm sure in the changing room, you know, he'll tell the players like, if they're not doing well.
As we're speaking at the moment, Christoph, nothing has of course been officially announced, but should it be confirmed in the coming days perhaps, what do you think his priorities should be at Hearts over the summer?
I think that there's a lot to work with there. They've got a talented squad. They've got a big budget. I'm sure they're going to have some money to spend as well. Obviously, one of the main things is Lawrence Shankland's out of contract. Will he sign? I'm not sure. Well, obviously, Derek, he's well known in Scottish football as a striker who's going to score you goals, and I'm sure Derek would get the best out of him. But it's Lawrence. This is he's 29 now. This may be his last chance to get a big contract, and Hearts need to tread that carefully because they don't want to go over and blow their budget and splash out too much money. You know, they've got to budget for things as well, and I'm sure the scouts and the analytics will be doing their work in the background. It looks likely probably not going to sign on just now, so they'll probably have backups ready to go.
And Christoph, I just want to ask you as well, it's a question that gets wheeled out constantly when we're talking about new managers coming in or managers going out, but how important is it for Hearts to give the next boss the time that they require to actually get their principles in place. And I know people can talk about principles of management in a way that's maybe kind of out of touch sometimes, but how important is time for the next boss?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the last couple of seasons you've had Robbie Neilson, you have Stephen Naismith, and you've just had the previous manager there, and they're probably all got different views on football and what they see in players. And so that's three managers who have brought in players how they see the games played, and if it's Derek or if it's John or whoever, and the way they see the game, they need time to bring those players in and to mould that team into the team that they want it to be, to a team that the Hearts fans can be proud of.
Christophe Berra speaking there. Well, elsewhere in the Premiership, what a week it is coming up for 11th placed Ross County, who, after losing to bottom club St Johnstone, are now only 3 points ahead of the Perth side, with 6 points left to play for. Saturday's defeat at McDiarmid Park was County's 7th loss in a row, and striker Alex Samuel admits the players need to shoulder the responsibility of turning the tide when they visit Dundee on Wednesday night.
You know, we have to take accountability as well, because at the end of the day, it's us on the pitch. So yeah, we take massive accountability to that as well. So we understand that we haven't been good enough, and it's about now, these next 2 games, to change that and to finish the season on a high, which we can.
And as always, there's lots more to watch and read on the BBC Sports Scotland website for you, including a preview to Tuesday's Premiership playoff semi-final first leg between Partick Thistle and Livingston at Firhill. So an interesting week lies ahead indeed. And Amy, that is the sport tonight.
Yeah, the playoffs. I mean, for the neutral,
phenomenal.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
So stressful for the fans.
I would hate to be a supporter sitting through
oh,
this
you really would.
Amy, honestly.
But yes, another big one tomorrow, Lewis. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Amy.
Now, with just 2 pupils, it is one of the smallest schools in the country. It did look like Tudor Primary in the West Highlands was going to close, but with many toddlers and babies now in the area, its class size will be going up, so it will be staying open. Our reporter, Ailey Davis, went to Tudor Primary to meet its current pupils and their teacher.
This is our school. This is where Welly's school.
10-year-old Shannon and 9-year-old Molly are the only 2 pupils who currently attend Tudor Primary School in Lochaber, along with their class teacher, Holly Graves.
We're really close. We mostly do everything all together, kind of every day. We play in school and after school. We're best friends.
Best friends.
It is wonderful. Not many people get this opportunity as a teacher, and I don't think everybody would like it, but I absolutely love it. It's a really special teacher-pupil relationship. You get to know them really well. You don't just have them for 1 year.
Lessons at the school don't always take place in the classroom. The children often have lessons at the nearby beach.
We go here about once or twice a week. We get to do math, spelling, stories. We make up our own stories.
Officials had recommended that the school should close, but Highland Council's Education Committee voted against it, following a campaign by the local community.
The school's vital to the future of the village. There are a large number of pre-school age children in the village, and we were able to present that information and projected school roll figures to the Education Committee, and that helped them to change the motion to save the school rather than closing it.
The pupils' parents say the school is important to the whole community.
There was a shop here years ago, there was hotels. We don't have anything like that anymore. So I think things like the school are really important for communities to survive and thrive.
They've got so many areas here that they can learn. It's not always inside, and every day is something different. They don't come home bored. It's made fun for them.
The school has ambitions of becoming a learning hub for STEM education and is looking to work with the Scottish Association for Marine Science and other ecological organisations, something councillors hope could be replicated by other small schools.
We've got more than 4,000 kilometres of coastlines. We need to reconnect with the culture of the sea, the marine environment, and what is happening in Dura could be a model we could export to the rest of the Highlands.
This is when we dressed up.
It's hoped many more pupils will follow in the footsteps of Molly and Shannon, with the school remaining open now until at least 2030.
We wanted this to stay open because obviously I've been here for most of my life. It's such a nice school and I think people should really go here because it's such a good school and I would never want it to close. But not too many people, please.
Ailey Davis reporting Scotland Durer.
Oh, lovely to meet Molly and Shannon. Now, there was success for Scots at the BAFTA TV Awards last night. Actor Alan Cumming presented the ceremony from London's Royal Festival Hall. Scottish hopeful Richard Gadd missed out on an award for Baby Reindeer, but his co-star Jessica Gunning won Best Supporting Actress for the series. Scottish broadcaster Kirsty Wark was given the highest honour, the BAFTA Fellowship, and a standing ovation.
I've worked with some of the best, not least the studio crews on Newsnight. I remember one night, a minute until we went on air, a lovely female sound engineer, of which there are still far too few, called in my ear, "Kirsty, your skirt is in your pants." It was actually a very fetching Vivienne Westwood skirt with a ruffle. But it is great to feel your colleagues have got your back and your front.
Oh, the fantastic Kirsty Wark. We always do have each other's back and front, don't we, Judith?
Absolutely. It's a sisterhood in here, isn't it, my darling?
Is.
I'm glad to see that is true as well. So, as far as the weather is concerned, aren't we lucky? Well, I think we are. Hard, though, across eastern Scotland. It's something we see at this time of year due to the cold. The North Sea is at its coldest, and indeed the warm air coming out of the continent. That's what creates a hard, but it does burn off quickly. But for most of us, it was glorious sunshine. And I have some news because we saw the warmest day of the year so far when we topped 25.4 Celsius near Prestwick, and I think tomorrow we could even get a few degrees higher than that. So why is that? High pressure, once again, this time last week I was talking about high pressure. Here it is, this is Wednesday, this is Thursday, the high is still with us, Friday it's still with us. Let's see what the weekend holds, and that high pressure is still going to be driving things, keeping it dry and warm as well as we head through the course of the working week. So after a largely dry night, here's the picture first thing tomorrow morning. Yes, we'll see some of that higher for eastern areas, some of it pushing through the central lowlands as well. Glorious sunshine in the west from first light. That higher running up the east coast as well. We have this bank of cloud across more northern parts. It's actually a weak weather front. It's a cold front, and that will allow some fresher air to come in behind it. But it is only thicker cloud, no rain on it. Across Shetland, we should see some sunshine with maybe a wee bit of patchy higher at times. As we head through the day, that front moves into northern areas, northern Aberdeenshire, just manifesting itself as cloud. We lose most of the higher. A few patches lingering towards the east coast, but glorious sunshine, and we could see 27 Celsius across the western northwest highlands tomorrow. Always cooler on the east coast with that onshore easterly breeze, which will be a feature this week. So as we head into Wednesday, a bit of higher first thing and low cloud across the south and the east. That shifts away pretty quickly. Glorious sunshine right across the country. It'll feel a wee bit fresher with the winds coming in from the northeast, particularly for the east coast, but we'll still top 22, 23 across western Scotland. Still some glorious sunshine. Always a bit cooler in the Isles, but you know, it's at this time of year we would see around about 14, 15 Celsius. So that's what we see average temperature-wise. Then let's take a look at what Thursday holds. Well, more of the same, dry with lots of sunshine, and temperatures start to rise once again as we head through the latter part of the week. And here are the sunshine symbols for the rest of the week. I don't know where that cloudy picture came from, but it wasn't me. Sunshine and still some warmth as well. That's your forecast. Appeared from nowhere.
Oh, we're getting used to this, aren't we, Judith? Thanks very much. Now, tomorrow we will have an hour-long special programme on BBC One and here on BBC Scotland as we follow MSPs as they debate and vote on assisted dying, one of the biggest decisions the Scottish Parliament can make. Join Laura Goodwin and me for an extended edition of Reporting Scotland tomorrow. I will see you then. Bye-bye.